Near Mint Nerd here for I Got Issues. Today is Wednesday, and that means I'm heading down to my local comic shop. That's the LCS for all you acronym heads out there. Doesn't seem like it's a very big week. It's the first Wednesday of the month. Usually, for me, that means there's a ton of books out, but from what I see, there's only a few books that I read coming out, so I don't expect this to be an extra big haul, an extra long haul. There's one book in particular that I'm definitely not getting because I can't bring myself to do it, and that's Darth Maul #1. I know I wanted to start picking up the Star Wars books. There's the regular Star Wars title, number 28, I think, coming out today. But I am trying to avoid Darth Maul, even though I do like that character, because I just, those movies, those prequels, I just try to stay away from the stuff associated with them. Even though I do like the character. I know that's a little bit weird, but, I'm going to try not to get Darth Maul. Just my one little tiny victory, I guess. Anyways, I'm going to head out right now, so I'm going to flip you over to probably about an hour in the future when I have my books. So let's make that hour go really quickly. Whoa, that was a quick hour. Here we are 1 hour later, and we've got our books, and we're going to start off with a couple of independent books. There were 2 quarter issues that came out this week, both from different companies, strangely. First one is Vampirella from Dynamite, #0 by Paul Cornell, who I think is a tremendous writer. He's a British guy who did some Doctor Who, I think the actual TV series as well. Possibly, I'm not sure about that, but he did the Captain Britain and was it called MI6 or something like that? I can't remember. It was, but he did a Captain Britain book not too long ago that was really good. It doesn't seem like he's really caught on comics wise, and I don't know why, because he's done some really fun books. Anyways, so for the introductory price of a quarter, we've got Vampirella #0. Also this week, we've got another quarter book. It is The Walking Dead #163, the start of a new storyline called Conquered. I think this is like an anniversary issue because, it says here, the future of comics, 25 years of Image. I'm not sure if that's the celebration or if it's like the celebration of, 10 years of the Walking Dead comic, or what the case is, or what the case might be there. But regardless, it's a 25-cent issue, and I don't see why anybody would go home without a 25-cent issue. That would be crazy. And then lastly, in the independent, or, 50% independent, is Planet of the Apes / Green Lantern #1 of 6. I love the Planet of the Apes franchise. I love the old franchise. I do like the new one, not as much as the old one. I'm an old soul at heart, so there's something about those practical ape effects that I just, I love the ape makeup and stuff, and I love Charlton Heston's performance in that first movie. So, and I'm also a big Green Lantern fan, so, this seemed like a book that I would enjoy. To be honest, if this was a heavier week, I probably would have trade weighted on this. I probably would have picked up the trade because, it just seems like the kind of book that I prefer to read in a trade. But it was a light week, so I picked it up. And I don't think I'll regret it. I certainly don't regret looking at that beautiful cover. Look at that. One of the apes got a hold of a Green Lantern ring. That's going to spell trouble. All right. So those are the indies. Let's bring on the DC books. Here we go. Detective Comics. How many of you knew that DC stood for Detective Comics? Probably all of you. But what's weird is I only found that out when I was working at a comic store in the early 90s. I'd already been a comic reader for years. And I remember going, hey, what does DC Comics stand for? And everyone behind the counter just gave me the dirtiest look. What am I going to do? I was a dumb 19-year-old. All right, so this is The Fall and Rise of Captain Atom, #2 of 6. I love Captain Atom. I thought the first issue was a lot of fun. I hope he sticks around this time. Captain Atom, he's got a bad rap. He doesn't have a bad rap. He just doesn't have a good sales record. You know, when he was in Charlton Comics, he was fairly popular, went through a couple of incarnations there. But when he came over to DC, you know, he was in the high-profile Justice League book for years. Had his own title that lasted over 50 issues and a couple of annuals. Had a couple of miniseries. Ended up being a big deal during the Armageddon 2001 year of annuals. You know, it's not for lack of trying that Captain Atom just doesn't seem to be able to latch on to the public's interest. But he has definitely latched on to mine, and I look forward to this number 2. Next up, Green Lanterns. These are the Earth Green Lanterns, Baz and Jessica, starting a new storyline, teaming up with Batman, which should be a lot of fun. I only get this in arcs. I skipped the last issue, which was a standalone issue. Wasn't super interested. Let me see if I can just find the name of this new arc here. So it's called Darkest Nights, and it's part 1 by Sam Humphries, art by Neil Edwards. Looks pretty fun. So I think this is probably going to be, this is all self-contained to the Green Lanterns book. I'm guessing it'll be 3 or 4 issues. So I think I'll probably pick all that up. This is a nice cover. They had, I didn't like the other cover as much, so as always, I just picked up the one I liked. Superman number 16. I think this is the final chapter in the Multiplicity arc where someone's coming after all the Supermen. This looks like the chapter where they all fight back. Love Captain Carrot on the cover. That's great. I mentioned last time that there was a little bunny on the cover, and I was like, oh, who's that bunny? Well, of course it was Captain Carrot. What was I thinking? All the other Superman. This is going to be a fun read. Thomas Ian Gleason. I love Gleason. Underrated artist, in my opinion. And here we have the book of the week. So we got Batman number 16, the start of a new arc called, what is it called? I Am Bane, I think? Is that right? You know, I'm going to look. I'm going to look for you, people, because you're going to want to know. I thought it was I Am Bane, but that doesn't sound right in my head. No, I was right. I Am Bane. Unfortunately, to find the title, I Am Bane, I had to flip to the back page of the comic and probably spoiled it. So I will not show you that. But this looks like it's going to be a really fun comic. I like this cover with kind of the men in Batman's life, if you will. All the different... obviously, all these guys were... he's the current Robin, former Robin, Jason Todd, former Robin, Dick Grayson. We're only missing Tim Drake, but he was... presumably killed, but we saw that he was actually taken off the board, and we'll be seeing him again at a later date in some story arc coming up. So, Batman and his Robins. I think Tom King's doing a good job. All right, next up we got Marvel Comics. Marvel Comics. Starting with Hawkeye number 3. If you remember my haul video from a few weeks ago, I said that I was going to wait for the first 3 issues of Hawkeye and read them together to decide whether to keep going or not. Well, this is the 3rd issue, so now I'm going to read these and make my decision. Maybe I'll even do a little mini review of the first 3. Not sure. The Hate for Kate escalates. Nice little sort of rhyming cover there. Cool. I like this. I like this a lot. I like this cover. I like the idea. I think it's a private detective book. Kind of like, I'm not sure. I'm just kind of guessing based on the solicitations I read, but it feels like it might be DC's answer to Jessica Jones a little bit, to the Alias book. Obviously not, it's not a adult content book, so clearly it's not targeted at the same audience, but nonetheless, I think it's kind of similar in its concept. Even her costume looks a little like Jessica Jones's superhero costume when she's in, is her name Diamond, I think? Something like that. Yeah, so there you go. Next up, Monsters Unleashed, number 2. I picked up the variant cover that I liked the best. I thought this was kind of fun. Sort of a Groot-esque creature here. Looks like a giant tree creature. It crawls by night. To be honest, I did not love the first issue. It was my book of the week a few weeks ago. It did not really kind of grab me and really pull me in. It felt very simple. Like, it was literally just, it was so much setup. It was just, oh, look, monsters are here. Let's fight it. Oh, look, monsters are here. Let's get some other heroes to fight it. Oh, look, another 2-page spread with monsters. More people to fight it. The only interesting thing that happened was the introduction of, the kid at the end who was doodling the monsters, and then they kind of all show up. I would like to see, more. I felt like it just wasn't a story yet. So hopefully this issue rectifies that. Also picked up C-3PO cover of Star Wars number 28. Love these toy variants. I can't stop buying them. And I love that it's the removable limbs one and that he's fallen down in the plastic. I think that's a really funny choice. I know I said I wasn't going to buy Darth Maul. And I got to the store and I said to the owner, I'm not buying Darth Maul. Because I knew he would put it in my pull. Because he kind of does a little pre-pull for me based on my buying habits. And I said, do not do that. Do not, under any circumstances, give me Darth Maul. But then I was looking at the toy covers, and you know what? I saw the toy cover, and I said, oh, bother, to paraphrase, or to quote Winnie the Pooh, I guess, oh, bother. And so, sure enough, there it is, Darth Maul, the toy cover. I couldn't resist. And then, here's where things got out of hand. My store owner says, hey, nerd, aren't you picking up the 40th anniversary Star Wars covers? There's only going to be 48 of them. Only 48. And, you might as well get the whole set. And I said, I can't do it. I can't, he's pricing them at $10. So he's pricing them about twice cover price. Cover price in US is $4, and I think cover price in Canada is $5. And I said, double cover, it's just too much, man. So he said, I'll tell you what, if you promise to buy every cover, all 48, in conjunction with buying the regular issue on the ones that you want, I will give you all of these variants for cover price. And I was like, wow, all right. I said yes. I immediately regret it because there's a couple of books that I don't really pick up on a weekly basis. And now I've kind of agreed to buy not only that variant, but also the regular cover or the toy cover. And the toy covers are cover price for me. They've always have been. So that was an easy choice. But I said, all right, I'm a man of my word. So I went back to the shelf. Well, first of all, he handed me this one, which is a really cool painted cover. Really nice. By Megan Hetrick. I'm not familiar with Megan Hetrick. I don't know what else she's done, but I really like that. So I may have to seek out her work because that's really nice. So that's number 4. And then I also got Dr. Aphra number 3, which is actually the number 1 I had not gotten. See, there's the $10 price, so I don't have to pay that, luckily, or I definitely wouldn't have picked them up for that price. And I also got Poe Dameron number 10, which is the number 2. I picked up number 3 and you know what? I picked up number 3 last week. And I think I'm missing number 5 now that I think about it. I don't even know what book number 5's on, but I've got to give him a call and tell him that I'm going to need that. And then, yep, if you can believe it, part of the deal, I had to pick up the Darth Maul number 1 cover. My only non-regret about this is that it's Terry Dodson and Rachel Dodson doing the cover. I love their artwork. I love I just love this piece of art. Not sure how this represents at all Darth Maul, considering Darth Maul is the prequels and this is, obviously the original trilogy. So that kind of, took away a little bit of the pain, knowing that I was getting a nice piece of art from the original trilogy. And then I got my haul home. I went through my books that I had already paid for. I guess I didn't flip through them well enough because within my stack if you can believe it, I also had the regular cover of Darth Maul. I had one rule when I went to the comic shop this morning, and it was to not buy Darth Maul. And you know what, guys? I came home with 3 different covers. 3 copies. I've never bought 3 copies of anything in my life, and I just came home with 3 copies of the one book I swore I wouldn't buy this week. Wow. Guys, that's it for the haul this week. Please subscribe. Please leave a comment. Please hit like. All those fun things really keep me going. I love talking with you guys. I feel like I've stalled out on the subscriptions a little. That's okay. You know, I have a nice little base. I love you guys, but I would like to, try to get in front of a little bit of a bigger audience. Only you guys can help me with that. But that's it for this week. I'm going to turn you back over to a guy that is known the galaxy wide. He's beloved. He's tremendous. Okay, I'm overselling him. It's the Near Mint Nerd.